Hello, everyone. Today we've got an incredible announcement to make, and I'm joined by our Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and our Secretary of Transportation Byrd. But imagine this has been in the works for a long time. You know, I give many kudos to our Attorney General Patrick Morrisey and Byrd as well, and their legal team, all their legal team, and you know, with Bailey and Glasser and Ben Bailey did great work. But today is an incredible announcement for West Virginia. The magnitude of this is just off the chart. But today, the state of West Virginia, we're announcing that I am proud, I'm going to just read, I am proud to join our great Attorney General and our Secretary of Transportation to announce that the state of West Virginia has reached the largest antitrust settlement in state history with 11 different asphalt paving companies. The state of West Virginia will receive $101,350,000 in cash and credits, and will immediately start using them to pave additional roads and make additional repairs and do additional things across this great state of West Virginia. The Attorney General filed a suit in January of 2017 alleging things that had happened that were not correct and everything. Absolutely, this agreement includes $101.35 million, as I've said, in cash and credits, and it also includes a combined share of $4.4 million for Beckley, Bluefield, Charleston, Huntington, Parkersburg, and Kanawha County. And I think that's correct. Is that not right, sir? And again, I can't say enough. It's just, you know, my dad would always say these words: don't confuse effort with accomplishment. Well, it took one whale of an effort by a lot of people, led by our Attorney General and led by our Secretary, Byrd and everything, and what a job they've done. So congratulations to everybody, and I'm going to now defer to them. They can tell you more in detail, but what an announcement again. I mean, they just keep on coming, and you know, and with no schedule to them, but if we could just keep pumping these out like this is phenomenal stuff. I mean, you just think about it. $100+ million in an antitrust suit that is settled, that's going to come to West Virginia. Great stuff. Way to go, Attorney General. Way to go, sir. Jordan, are we passing now?
Yes, sir. Let's go to the Attorney General of the state of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey.
Well, thank you very much, Governor. Thank you, Byrd. This has been an incredible effort by so many people in order to reach the single largest antitrust settlement in state history. Let's put that in perspective for a moment. About 4 years ago, I stood in front of this Capitol and we outlined how a group of asphalt paving and contracting companies had conspired to restrain trade, develop a monopoly over the asphalt market in parts of the state. We spent an enormous amount of time over those past few years doing discovery, engaged in litigation, negotiation, and now we've been able to achieve something truly incredible. When you can get over $100 million to protect the hardworking families of our state, lower their tax burdens, and help put money into one of the biggest challenges our state faces, fixing the roads, that's a darn good day for West Virginia. So, Governor, thank you for your whole team and all the great work. This has been a terrific partnership with the Governor's office, the Department of Transportation, and our office. And I also agree, we had really good work for our outside counsel, Bailey and Glasser. I'd also like to thank members of my team, Doug Buffington and Doug Davis, for for the many hours that they put in, giving up vacations and trying to get this all done a few months ago, so appreciate it. Now, this case is precedent-setting for our state and our country because we knew that for over 15 years, these companies have been on a quest to enhance their power, maximize their profits, and reduce competition at the state's expense. And this is just one of the reasons why the state's roads got into bad shape, because we'd be overpaying for a lot of the roads that were paved. Big changes out of today. We mentioned the $101 million, but there are also significant structural reforms, which are big to enhance competition going forward in the state. Number one, we forced ownership change of a major joint venture here in the state. Number two, we're ending sweetheart deals across West Virginia in an effort to make sure that there's good price competition for asphalt and paving. We now have a vigorous system to monitor acquisitions. In the past, we wouldn't necessarily get notice when these companies would be acquired that allowed an effective monopoly to be built. Now that changes. We're going to get that advance notice, and that's going to give our office and the Department of Transportation the ability to help manage this a little bit more in the future. And of course, it means more competition for our great state. So I'm really pleased with what we've been able to get. We know that monopolization and price fixing not only is unacceptable, but it raises prices. And in this case, the taxpayers have to pay the bill. That's changing. We know that this is going to inject millions into paving budgets across our state, and it's also going to accomplish a couple other big things as well. Many of you may remember back in 2013 when I instituted the state's new competitive bidding policy for how outside counsel are paid. Well, we now have saved over $30 million through that policy. Why? Because the state gets the benefit of competitive bidding. Over $20 million saved in this case alone. That's an awesome thing. That means we have good government, we have competition, and we're actually saving taxpayer money. And shouldn't all our public officials be doing that? And of course, we're restoring more competition to the asphalt market. Now, I'm just going to give you a couple details about the case, and we're going to make everything available online for you. But I want to remind people that our lawsuit, as I said, a little less than 4 years ago, we claimed that West Virginia Paving had conspired with some competitors in the Mid-Ohio Valley, in the Interstate 64 corridor between Charleston and Huntington. And they were trying to allocate customers, carve up some of the geographic regions where they competed. This allowed them to increase prices and reap higher profits, while road projects got delayed and sometimes funding went dry. Now, to be clear, the defendants in this case have indicated that they are settling these antitrust charges. They are not admitting any wrongdoing. They assert that the prices went up due to market conditions. Obviously, we've decided as a state that it was important to reach this settlement because along the way, when you have a really complicated antitrust case, you might win some motions in court, you might lose some motions in court. That certainly happened here. As we were moving toward trial, the set of issues started to really narrow. The time frame for which the state could recover damages was narrowed considerably to 4 years. And then we made the decision, and so did the defendants, that it was in everyone's interest to settle, because if you hadn't, there would likely be a very lengthy appeals process. Now, the governor mentioned some of the numbers. This is going to bring, we mentioned over $101 million. That's $30.35 million in cash to the state and the local participants. If you're in Beckley, if you're in Bluefield, if you're in Charleston, Huntington, Parkersburg, Kanawha County, and every place around West Virginia, you're going to benefit. Those specific municipalities, that county combined, get $4.4 million. Separately, the state's going to get a credit of about $71 million. That's going to be applied to already completed yet unpaid road projects and future projects over the next 7 years. Once again, that's big. I also mentioned the outside counsel policy. I'm telling you, this is a huge win for West Virginia. It's good government, it's honest, it's transparent, and it's just so much different than the way things used to be. Remember when people used to get paid 33 or 40% for doing legal services for the state? Now we're having settlements, ranging from 5 to 14%. And this one, as I said, I think it's coming in around 7 or 8%, pretty significant. I mentioned some of the non-monetary restrictions. Those are big as well. When you force a change in ownership, that's important. When you make sure that there'll be fair and open pricing so that you can't be a predator on your competitor, that's a critical win. Now, you know that the state can't force new manufacturers or road paving companies to start to do business in West Virginia, but I am hopeful. I want to send a message. You come to West Virginia, you're going to get treated fairly. We're not going to let monopolists operate, and we're hopeful this is going to lead to many great things in the future, especially building on what the governor has done with his Roads to Prosperity, because now you not only get the benefit of all those dollars, you get it in a more tightly monitored, scrutinized environment where you pay less for the projects. That's a pretty cool thing. So this is a big deal. Look, I've always wanted to pave Corridor H. I know that's been a big deal for me out in the Eastern Panhandle. Hey, maybe this helps, and maybe we can pave more roads from up in Hancock County all the way down to McDowell and then some and back. We can do a lot with this $100 million. So I'm really excited with this big announcement today. And once again, I want to really thank the governor. I want to thank Secretary Byrd White. I want to thank our outside counsel for the amazing work. And I want to assure the West Virginia public that we will enforce our competition laws in the state. This is how we protect jobs. This is how we defend our families and lower the tax burdens in our state and uphold our values. You're not going to cheat on the system. Huge win for West Virginia. And I am pleased to be here with everyone today. Thank you for putting this together today, Governor. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Attorney General. That Patrick, is great news. But now if we'll go to Secretary Byrd White, and Byrd may have some few words, and then I'd like you to come back to me, please.
Thank you, Jim. A little over a year and a half ago, when the governor appointed me to this job, among fix the damn roads, he also wanted this case to get settled. We've worked pretty hard on it, and along with Patrick Morrisey and his people, and Bailey and Glasser, particularly Ben Bailey and Eric Snyder, we've spent lots and lots of hours on this, all to the benefit of the people of West Virginia. The settlement is purely comes to the people of West Virginia, and we'll use it to pave roads, fix roads, help with our other maintenance projects that we've got in the state. And it's all, I give the governor and Patrick Morrissey all the credit on this. They've been the lead all the time, worked hard, and just glad to have this wrapped up and finished.
Well, if you could come back to me just a second and let me kind of put it all together as best I can. There's a lot of kind accolades coming from, myself, our Attorney General, our Secretary, of Transportation, towards all of us. It's, whether it be Bailey and Glasser, it be all the people that have worked with Patrick on this, all the people that have worked with Byrd and Highways on this, all the people that have worked in my office on this. There's a lot of hours and a lot of credit, and it should go around to a lot of people. But it is truly exactly what I said. It is not the confusion of effort, but it is truly accomplishment. Now, with that being said, there's going to be the stone throwers that are sitting out there that are going to say, well, why are you announcing this right before an election and everything? And it's only simply one thing, and that is we finally got it done. I mean, when it really boiled right down to it, we worked our tails off, and we thought that this was going to be done a month and a half or 2 months ago, and it just kept dragging, as all lawsuits do. And by the time that you tweak every bit of language and go through 18,000 lawyers that tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak and everything, you finally get it across the finish line. The very split second that we could bring this to you, we're bringing it to you. But, it's the exact same thing, whether it be broadband or West Virginia methanol or whatever it may be. As we continue with the hyperloops and everything that's coming to West Virginia, we're going to bring it to you and we're going to tell you about it. I hope you know that from my standpoint, I have been 1,000% transparent, and I can tell you just as straight up can be, you've got an Attorney General that's doing a heck of a job. He's absolutely brought something here to West Virginians that will absolutely benefit each and every one of us across the board. And you've got a Secretary of Transportation that is doing a heck of a job, because all of us have worked and worked and worked. So at the end of the day, how I feel is just as straightforward can be, and it's just simply this. For any naysayer that would say, well, they're bringing it up in election time, it's a campaign deal and everything, I would say, bull, you know what? But the real reality is everybody here just continues to work, and my dad would always say, all the time, he would say, if I know it and the good Lord knows it, that's all that really need to know it. And really, at the end of the day, what we want to be is 1,000% transparent. But if I'm telling you, and you know me, if I'm telling you it's the truth, I mean, with all in me, for everything I know within me, it is exactly that. It's a heck of a day for West Virginia, and we're bringing it to you as we got it. And so everybody should celebrate. Like I said, Patrick, great work, and Byrd, great work, and to all those, to the Ben Baileys, to all the people that are out there that are working with Patrick, working with Byrd, working in my office and everything. I can't tell you the meetings that we had and the number of times that we were so close. But we couldn't quite get across the finish line. Well, we now are across the finish line. So as we run through the finish line, we celebrate with you. West Virginia, it's a good day. So then, anyway, thank you guys so very much. Thank you all again.
All right, thank you, Governor. We'll now go to questions from members of the media today. The first question is from Steve Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yeah, Steve Adams of Ogden Newspapers here. Obviously, this is a big chunk of change that's going to be beneficial for road construction and secondary road maintenance and things of that nature. But what are we looking at a little further down the road in regards to the original issue that brought this lawsuit in the first place, which was, 4 years ago, anti-competitive practices, overinflating prices of asphalt, particularly for cities, which is why the cities were powerless in the first place, because it got to be very expensive for cities just to do basic maintenance on city streets. What is in this, or what will be something we look at in the future in regards to trying to ensure that we're getting the proper, correct market prices on asphalt from these companies in the future? Thank you.
So that's a great question, and actually that's one of the central features of this agreement. I mentioned at the beginning that, number one, we forced ownership change of one joint venture that had a great deal of market weight and advantage here in the state, and I think that's going to lead to a new market entrant coming in. That's going to mean great things for competition. Number two, there's going to be that transparency of pricing. We found in the past that there were these sweetheart deals that were occurring with the lower prices that might go to the Friends and to the Allied system. That comes to an end now because there's going to be that transparency of the prices for everyone when they're bidding. So now we think that allows new market entrants to come into bear, and I think that's really incredible. We made it clear that we weren't just in this for money, for dollars for the state. We have to see structural changes to advance competition. And I am very hopeful we're going to see some new market entrants, and I'm going to be out there talking about these settlement terms so that we can lure more people in. The other thing, Stephen, which I think is really important, is that in the past, one of the reasons why West Virginia paving grew so large is that there really was no notification system when they would gobble up companies and acquire one after another. That's changed under this agreement. Now, every time that they're going to be pursuing a company, trying to obtain and bring them over, not only do we get notice, but we'd have the ability to object if we think it would hurt market conditions in the state. All of those things combined in terms of changing ownership structure, having better pricing, transparency, and monitoring, and having vigorous oversight, that's going to lead to a very different place than where we were in the past.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next to Kelsey Soto with WSAZ.
Kelsey Soto with WSAZ. Obviously, a major announcement going to have a tremendous impact on communities. How do we include some of these smaller groups? You know, the public has lost trust, and you hear from residents who have lived here their whole lives who say they can't drive on these roads. It's damaging their cars. How do we A, rebuild the trust, and B, how do we get some of these smaller communities that aren't the big five to also get their hat in the ring as well?
Let me do this just real quick. It's Chelsea, is that correct?
Kelsey.
Kelsey, okay. Kelsey, and West Virginians, please hear me. Our roads didn't get in this shape overnight. They did not get in this kind of condition overnight. It took decades of neglect. It took us making decisions to sell our maintenance equipment. It took decades of neglect. Now, there's no way, no matter what in the world anybody would say, there's no way that we can repair every road and clean up decades of neglect immediately. I mean, it takes time. Truly, Kelsey, we are absolutely in all the rural communities. We're everywhere doing work all across these 55 great counties. It takes a tremendous amount of effort and a tremendous amount of monies to do so. Just the other day, I had a thing that was given to me that said we were mowing in the state, we were mowing 300 miles of roads a day. In addition to that, we were pulling ditches and fixing potholes on 200 miles of roads a day. And in the state of West Virginia, we were paving at that time 50 miles of roads a day. Just think about it. Our roads got in a heck of a bad shape, and we're cleaning it up. And we're cleaning it up by great work. And what this is going to do is just give us more and more and more bullets in the gun to do more and more and more cleaning up. At the end of the day, we're going to have the best roads of any place in the nation. You mark it down. This is really great stuff. And I'm sure that our secretary would echo the same sentiments, so you don't need to hear from him. I am telling you point blank exactly what we're doing, and we're doing it all across this state, and we're going to continue to do it until we get every single thing fixed. You don't think that I know that people, that before, people had a terrible time going to the convenience store because they'd tear their car all to pieces going to the convenience store. We still have roads that are absolutely in terrible shape. We're getting to them, and we're getting to them as fast as we can. Bless you, sir.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. Next to David Byrd with the Dominion Post.
Hi, my question is kind of nuts and bolts. I wanted to ask first if you could repeat how the $71 million will be applied, because I didn't quite follow that. And then also, how and when do you expect the cash to come in? Thanks.
I'll just briefly take the cash, and I'm going to turn it over to Byrd with respect to the credits, okay? So within 30 days, we're going to be getting that $30 million in that range, and then thereafter, we have the credits that I'm going to let Byrd go through.
Yes, we're receiving $71 million that we can use as credits against West Virginia paving invoices. We have we've picked out a bunch of them that we're going to pay, that we've been holding, waiting on this settlement. We're going to pay with that. The rest of it we'll use against what we call our purchase order paving this spring and the next summer to enhance the roads. It's going to be projects mostly that we've already got on the books so that the prices can't be manipulated. They've already won the contract, or they've already bid the contract, and we're going to apply it against those projects in order to make sure that everything's level. It will go against state-funded projects, not federal aid projects. It'll go against state-funded, which is mostly the purchase order stuff that we do in the spring and summer to enhance our roads. I know the governor didn't want me to comment on this, but the earlier question about the roads and people complaining, we have a hotline in our division. We take every complaint. We try to address every complaint. But we also have a plan. We have a plan to patch these roads. We have a plan to pave these roads. If we stop our plan and jump off on something else every time somebody calls, we'll never get anything done. So what we've done is if somebody has a complaint, it comes in, we address it, we put it on the list, and we get to it in due order. I don't know if that answers your question, but I can't address, they say their road is bad. They have to call in and tell me what road they're talking about, what the problem is, and we'll try to get to it.
All right, thank you.
I want to add just one thing too. You know, as we move into the future in the spring and the summer, and we're using this as credit on jobs that have already been let or whatever, and so they won't, you know, so we'll get really dollar for dollar, you know, and we won't get 80 cents on the dollar. You know, as we do that, it's going to just free up more dollars. And as it frees up more dollars, you just spin right back around with those free dollars that you have, that because you use these towards already committed projects. But if you do that, then you didn't have to spend those dollars, and it frees up more dollars that you can do more and more and more work. So that's you know, Byrd, I appreciate you cleaning up about the hotline, and I just wanted to clean that up too.
All right, thank you, David. Last question today comes from Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Attorney General, could you talk about why you felt it was necessary to bring in outside counsel to help you all with this case? And just to clarify, you said that Bailey and Glasser will receive around 7 or 8% of the settlement for their work on the case. Was that right? Thank you.
That's correct. So, as you know, when you're talking about a case of this magnitude, it not only took about 4 years, but talk about the tens of thousands of hours that were put in. I know when I look at the work that our team did, when I look at the work that was done by outside counsel, I think there were some statistics that it literally was tens of thousands of hours. That's significant. These are very complex areas, and a lot of times when you're pursuing so many actions for the state, we benefit from bringing outside counsel to bear. Now, if this would have happened prior to me taking office in 2013, you would have paid 33 to 40% of the total cost. That's what the old model used to be like. Think about that for just a minute. Concept of paying potentially $30 million for outside counsel, I would have none of that. In fact, overall, that's why I can say we've saved about $34 million in outside counsel costs, because we have changed the pricing structure. We do competitive bidding. But look, if you're going to be in the middle of trying to drive the paving case, the antitrust case, we've done a lot of litigation against the drug companies in-house. We have suits right now against dozens of drug companies. So we have about 180 people in our office. We try to get as much of the work done inside as possible. But if a case this big, it helps a lot to get that extra expertise, and we're really appreciative of their work and also of all the savings for the state.
Let me add one more thought on that too. You know, Charles, I always, think that at any settlement that you get, it's you think, well, dang, the lawyers are getting this much money, but if you'll just really pay close attention to what our Attorney General said, most law firms today, are, and this drives me crazy about, lots of things, but just think about this. A lot of, and I'm not becoming political here, I'm just telling you the truth. A lot of our trial lawyers today stand up and say, I'm really just fighting for the little man. I'm fighting for the little man and everything. Well, when they do that, really and truly, that's not true. They're just using the little man. They're using the little man to get to an incredible fee. I mean, the little man that maybe was in a wreck and is torn all to pieces and everything, and maybe every bone broke in his body and can't hardly get around anything, and yet an attorney charges him a third of the settlement and expenses, which can oftentimes become 40% of the whatever. And let's just say that the little man that they're supposedly out there saying that they're trying to help, the little man, ended up receiving $500,000, and they took 40% of it. They took $200,000, and then they handed the little man a check for $300,000 to make it for the rest of his life, broken all to pieces. And really and truly, they may have worked on it 3 days. In this situation, what's happened now, because of the good work of our Attorney General, he has got that 33 or 40% down to 6 or 7, and from what he's saying here, and everything, which is an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And not only that, there was truly probably tens of thousands of hours that went in to pull this off. But the last thing, Charles, always remember this. Would we have wanted the settlement to have been $10 million and only then have paid them $600,000 or $700,000? Daggone not wrong, Absolutely, we want the settlement to be as high as it can possibly be in this situation, because that's just more and more and more dollars that are coming to West Virginia. So I think Bailey and Glasser's done great work. Our Attorney General's done incredible work and everything. And this is not the routine trial lawyer deal where somebody's chasing after a poor ambulance or something like that and somebody's misfortune and saying we're doing it for the little guy, which is totally ridiculous and everything, and we only want 40%. This is now trimmed down to a number that is unprecedented when you think about lawsuits this day and time and attorneys only receiving less than 10%. It's unprecedented. That's all there is to it. So great work, Attorney General, and great work, Secretary White, and let's just keep on doing good stuff for West Virginia.
All right, thank you, Charles. Governor, that's all the questions. I'll turn it back to you all to close out.
No, I don't have anything. I don't have anything else to say. I say it over and over and over, but it's true. I'm always the guy that's really hung up on that one word, truth. And if you just stand by that and you'll just step back and think and say, for God's sakes, living, we can dance through the raindrops all day long. We can be politicians if we want to be politicians, but I don't choose to do that. And absolutely, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's a heck of a deal. Heck of a deal for West Virginia. It took a lot of work and a lot of time and everything to pull it off. And you got a really good Attorney General. He's doing a great job, and he stands up for West Virginia and everything. He looks a little goofy from time to time, but he's a good guy and everything. Really proud of him. Thank you so much.